Coming to you live at the GAMA Trade Show at the Peppermill Resort and Casino in Reno, Nevada, Twist Gaming! Now take it away, Matt. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. This is Twist Gaming. I'm Matt, and we are at the GAMA Trade Show here in Reno, Nevada, and bringing you all the board game coverage all weekend long. I'm joined here with Heather from Ninth Level Games. Heather, how you doing?
Great. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Awesome.
First up, how is GAMA treating you so far? I know it's early, but...
Yeah, it's early, but it's going really, really well. I've never been to Reno before, so we checked that out. Went to Tahoe yesterday, so it's pretty cool.
Love Tahoe. I'm very excited to go there next weekend.
Very cool.
So what have you brought to show off to us today?
So I'm with Ninth Level Games, and our newest game is called Meeple Party, which is a co-op game where you are meeples throwing a party.
Pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. As long as you know what a meeple is. So what we've got is 5 different character personalities, such as the flirt, the jerk, the party animal, the wallflower, and the cool roommate, that all have a different personality, which means they have a different effect on a room that they enter.
Okay.
All right, so each of us are going to have one of those personalities, and if you want to show the player board.
Sure thing. Well, I'm the flirt. Everyone knows that, so you know.
So everyone's going to have a little player board that explains your turn order and what each personality does. And on your turn, you're going to welcome a guest by pulling a meeple out of a bag at random.
Okay.
You randomly pull out a meeple. It is a wallflower. Then
Yellow meeple, wallflower.
Right. Then I would put them into the party. And the reason it matters where I put them or what I'm doing is I'm trying to meet photo goals by showing everybody how cool the party is. I have to take a lot of photos. So they're basically specific setups of the board that I'm looking for.
Okay.
So here's one. I thought I'd pick this one for GAMA. Did someone say board games? And it's 2 wallflowers and 2 cools in the living room. So I need to try to create that situation in order to score my point.
So these are secret objectives that we have there?
They're not secret, but they're only able to be done by the player they're in front of.
Okay.
So in front of your player board, there's 2 slots for your photo goals and 1 slot for your disaster. It's a little hard to see here.
Photo up, and then...
Disasters to the left. It's a little hard.
Oh, there we go. Disasters. Yeah. There we go.
So you're going to have 2 active photo opportunities to try to go after every turn. And, of course, it can't be a party without some kind of stress possible happening. There's always going to be a disaster in front of you. In this case, maybe it's the smoke alarm because, you're cooking too many things.
Oh, no.
So there's a restriction that says you can't have party animals in the kitchen this turn or at this time. So now that's changing how I play to make my photo goals. And because it's cooperative, we're all talking about what we need or what we need to avoid. So if it was your turn and you're trying to get this board game photo, but there's a party animal in the kitchen and that's my disaster that I have to watch out, you might not want to leave it for me if you can help it. Now, there might not be anything you can do. So I might say, I'm fine. I've got it. I can take care of that party animal. You do the photo. Or I might say, I've got 4 or 5 problems here. Can you please help me out with one of these?
What happens if you can't mitigate one of these party disasters?
Yeah, if you can't mitigate it, it becomes a party foul.
Oh, no.
And everyone takes the stress. Everyone, not just the player who it happened to, because it's cooperative. Once everyone has 3 stress, the party's over. We send everybody home. So in this case, you're trying to mitigate that stress by cooperatively talking about things that are going to be coming up on future turns. However, there's some ways you can relieve stress. Maybe you take both your photos and you're having a really epic time. That lets you relieve a stress.
So if you've accomplished both of your photo ops, then you relieve a stress.
On the same turn, yes.
Nice.
Maybe you're playing with some upgrades that the cake or the gift, they give you bonuses. There's a bunch of surprises that can happen that come up at different times. Those are about 25% stress relief. Also 25% giving you stress. So, and then 50% neutral. So you're going through doing this, hopefully working together as a team to get through your party. And what you also can do as a player group is base or choose how much time you want the party to go.
Oh, so I was going to ask if that's what that is over there.
This is just a little quick prototype, but you can show a close-up here.
All right.
We don't have the final one yet. There's a clock goes from 12 all the way around to 12 again. As long as you've done a 6-hour party, that's the shortest party you can do. So you could start at 6 p.m. and end it at midnight. You could start at 3 p.m. and end it at 9. Or you could say, we're having an epic rager. It's a 24-hour party. Once you decide how long you're going to play for, you need to get that number of photos in order to win the party. So each tick of the clock is a photo or a point. So if I want to try to hit my hand at 24 hours, that's a lot of photos I have to take as a group. We have to take as a group, and it's a much more likely you're going to stress out.
I was going to say, so I'm assuming then that the length of time of the party, as it increases, so is the difficulty of the game?
It not necessarily you could luck out, but it's just longer and longer you have to try to avoid things.
Gotcha.
There are ways your disasters will refresh every time you hit a milestone on the clock. That's noted on the clock there. Will refresh and get new ones. You can also choose to refresh them on your own at different times if you know that they're really tough. So there's things you can do to get yourself through the party, but the longer it is, it's going to be a tougher situation.
Gotcha.
And there are also easier and harder difficulty plays that you could choose to play with. If you've already played the game a couple times, you might say, well, I want to play it on extra hard, where not only do we each have a disaster we're worrying about, there's a communal disaster that every turn we're all worrying about, just to amp the difficulty up a little bit. There's also a way to play really super easy, where there's just one communal disaster and we don't have our individual disasters to worry about.
Gotcha.
So it lets you as a group decide how hard or tough of a game you want it to be. But ultimately, you just are trying to avoid everyone stressing out.
No one wants a party with that much
real
stress.
life, too. So.
Oh, yeah. So I'm noticing that the board here looks like it is modular. So
It
is this going to change every time we play the game?
It's up to the players. There's no rule on exactly how you have to put the board, but there are required rooms.
Okay.
So what they're looking at here would be a number of required rooms minimum to play the game. Then there are requirements if you're playing with 5 people, for example. There needs to be a sleeping spot for each player. So you would need a third bedroom, because this would only cover 4 people.
Okay.
So that is another option. All of the player mats also double as additional fun rooms.
Well, it's going to be a see-through car there, but you know.
That's a garage. It's a see-through garage. But there's extra rooms that have, some of them have fun or tougher rules to use those rooms.
Okay.
So you can make this modular. Putting it all together like this is a much easier way of playing, because you can move through rooms much easier. You can, however, make a giant long line or an L if you choose, but now it's going to be harder to move around.
Up your
the board.
Difficulty a little bit, yeah.
Exactly. One thing I wanted to just kind of quickly go over to give you an idea about that movement is what the personality effects are of each of these characters.
Right.
So, since you're the flirt, let's start with the flirt.
All right.
If the flirt enters a room, and that could be by welcoming from the bag, or on my turn, I can also mingle, which is another action you do, to move them to a specific adjacent room. If I do that, the flirt attracts one guest to them from an adjacent room because they have a magnetic personality.
Yoo-hoo! Yeah,
So I would move the flirt and then pull someone to that room.
Gotcha.
If it was a jerk, they're really, really rude and people don't want to be around them. So they go into a room and someone moves 2 rooms away from
So they
them.
really don't like them.
Really don't want to be in that room. A party animal is super, super loud. If they go into a room, someone goes to them from 2 rooms away.
Okay, so the party animal is kind of like the flirt,
Right.
but from further range.
They're louder. Right, exactly. Hey, guys, come outside.
So, question for you here. It says pull a meeple from 2 rooms away. Is it up to 2 rooms
Nope.
away?
It's exactly. All of these are exactly.
Okay.
So that also makes it that you don't have unlimited options every single turn. You're
Right.
going to say, this is moving the party animal is going to be my best option because I need somebody exactly 2 rooms away, for example. So the party animal and the flirt both pull to them.
Mm-hmm.
The jerk pushes someone 2 away. The wallflower also pushes someone 1 away, only because there's kind of quiet and there's not much going on.
Right.
And then the cool is, so uber cool that when they go into a room, they can pull 2 people from an adjacent room.
Ooh.
Or they can pull, one from this adjacent and one from this adjacent.
Gotcha.
So that helps you if you need specific people to not be in rooms or you need a lot of people. I have one that's group photo that's 9+ in one room. Having a cool really helps you load that room up. So those are the personality effects you're thinking about, not only when you set the board up, but when you're talking about what you think you can get done on each individual turn.
So that's only when you're moving that meeple into the space.
Correct.
If someone gets pulled into that space, does that not act?
No, it doesn't,
okay.
and it doesn't keep chaining. I moved this in, and now, but because that pulled a jerk, the jerk action happens. No, it's just the initial movement. That's it.
Gotcha.
By doing all of this, you're pretty much able to be in control. However, there are surprise guests that show up and some wild cards. So if you ever would pull a white meeple out of the bag, that's a surprise guest. And instead of adding them, you draw a surprise card.
Okay.
And in this case, maybe it's the social butterfly, or maybe it's the landlord, or maybe it's the pizza delivery. So those usually move people around the board, remove or add some meeple. Or in some cases, relieve stress or give stress, depending on what it is.
Okay.
So there's a couple of wild cards so that you can't completely plan. There's a little luck to make it a little lighter, a little less serious on planning your movement on your turns, because a surprise could always come up or something could always happen. But you should be able to quite easily get through a 6-hour party. The 12-hour parties are where, or the 24-hour parties are where it starts getting a little bit tougher to get through the night. And that's when you might want to play with an add-on item like a gift or a cake, where you put the cake in a room, and when your roommate meeple, your large meeple, is in that room, you can eat a slice of cake to relieve a stress.
Oh, well, that's good.
Or you can open a gift, and the gifts are all different things like you got a skateboard, you can take an extra turn, extra mingle.
So they're all positive, the gifts?
They're all positive. You may discard this to refresh a disaster. You can take your photo on someone else's turn, or vice versa. Things like that. So there's a couple of fun little extras there to help out, especially if you're playing on a more difficult level. And that's pretty much it. It's coming out, well, I'm hoping it'll be out by Origins, but it'll definitely be out by Gen Con. And we're just in production now, and we're waiting for it to come through.
Sounds good. And what'd you say the play time on this was? I know I'm sure it's going to vary based off the party length.
30 to 45 minutes. So 30 minutes with the shortest party, and that is the same for 1 to 5 players. The only reason usually that it would take any longer is people just chatting it out a little bit extra. Right. But on average, it's about 30 minutes.
It's a co-op game too, so I'm sure it's open to discussion a lot. There's going to be a lot of crosstalk there.
Correct. So I've been playtesting this a lot with all kinds of different groups. It's a great family game. There's PG-13 only in this party. Sure, there's drinking, but nothing gets too graphic, and they're not actual people, so it's kind of a light, fun, almost like a Lego guy vibe, than anything getting too graphic. So I've definitely played this with teenagers and their parents, and it's been fine. A lot of them think it's really funny as well. So we have a lot of that, and it's a good 2-player game as a co-op as well. So we've really found that the 2-player is a nice sweet spot too.
Very cool.
For this game.
Anything else about Meeple Party that you'd like to tell us today?
The only other thing I want to mention that I was very excited about was one of the stretch goals from the Kickstarter last year was to add a dog and a cat meeple that are additional roommates. So you choose a cat or a dog to start at the party, and they never can leave the party. They live there with you. They can be mingled as well as the meeple at the party, and this can help you out. So the cat can be mingled and then act as it's a wild. Because cats can be jerks, they can be flirts, they can be party animals, they can be wallflowers. So if you put the cat into a room, and I'll have to get the cat out here. If I put the cat into a room, I can just say for that one turn, it's a jerk. I fulfill my photo. It doesn't retain staying a jerk. It's just for that turn.
Gotcha.
If I choose the dog starts outside, but it can teleport as opposed to moving to one room to where any of our actual roommate meeple are, which are the little bit larger ones. So that way, if I'm all the way in the bedroom and the dog's in the kitchen, I can just say, "Hey, I'm moving
Come here,
him
boy."
Come here, boy. Come
Yeah.
all the way over to me." Now, when I do that, it has the flirt ability. So I would move the dog, and
Oh.
it pulls someone to them.
Okay.
So if I didn't have a chance to have a pull ability, I could move the dog to help pull one of these additional into the bedroom with me.
Perfect.
So that's another fun little upgrade to just make the experience change a little bit more with more replays. There's a couple of solo challenges, or they could be additional group challenges that are nothing to do with the party time or anything. It's just see how many people you can get in the hot tub, see how long you can rage, after you've won your party. Just little fun upgrade things that's just to change it up a little bit,
Very cool.
Thanks.
Well, Heather, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks.
Really do appreciate it. And thank all of you for watching at home. Stay tuned. We're going to be coming to you live with more coverage here from GAMA 2019 throughout the week here in Reno. But for now, signing off, I'm Matt. Have a good one, everyone.
Thank you.